He was so rich that when he gave money away, entire economies collapsed. Imagine a single journey, one man, one caravan, so powerful that it changes the price of gold across continents. Not for a day, not for a week, for years. That man was Mansa Musa, and his story is not just about wealth. It's about power, mystery, ambition, and a legacy the world still struggles to understand. Close your eyes for a second and picture this. A line of people stretching beyond the horizon. Tens of thousands. Soldiers, servants, scholars, merchants. Camels, hundreds of them, each carrying gold, not small coins, but heavy bars. Shining under the desert sun. At the center of it all, dressed in fine silk and surrounded by guards, is a man whose name would echo through history. Mansa Musa, but here's where things get interesting. We talk about billionaires today, tech giants, oil tycoons, business moguls. Yet historians believe that even if you combined the wealth of the richest people alive today, they still wouldn't match him. Let that sink in, time when much of the world barely understood. Africa beyond myths and assumptions. But Mali was no myth. It was one of the richest empires to ever exist. Gold flowed through its lands like water. Trade routes stretched across the Sahara. Cities like Timbuktu became centers of learning, culture, and power, and Musa? He controlled it all. But power like that doesn't just appear overnight. There's a story behind how he became king, and it's not what you expect. Before Musa took the throne, the empire was ruled by a king with an obsession with the unknown. This king, Abu Bakr II, believed that beyond the Atlantic Ocean, there was something more, something waiting to be discovered. So he did something unthinkable. He gathered ships, hundreds of them, filled them with supplies, and sent them into the ocean. Most never returned. Still, he wasn't satisfied. So he went himself, and this time, he never came back. Just like that, the empire was left without its ruler. And Mansa Musa, once just a deputy, became king. Now think about that moment. You suddenly inherit one of the richest empires on earth. What do? Do you protect it? Expand it? Hide it from the world? Musa chose something very different. He revealed it. And not quietly. Now think about that moment, you suddenly inherit one of the richest empires on earth. What do? Do you protect it? Expand it? Hide it from the world? Musa chose something very different. He revealed it, and not quietly. In 1324, Mansa Musa decided to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca. Now, many rulers had done this before, but none like him. What he planned wasn't just a journey. It was a statement, a message to the world. And that message was simple. We exist, and we are powerful. The journey stretched over thousands of kilometers, across the Sahara Desert, through cities and kingdoms. And everywhere he went, people stared in disbelief. Because this wasn't just a king traveling. This was wealth in motion. It said that his caravan included over 60,000 people, 12,000 servants dressed in fine cloth, hundreds of camels carrying gold, each camel holding up to 136 kilograms. That's not decoration. That's unimaginable wealth. But here's where the story takes a turn. Musa wasn't just showing off. He was generous. Too generous. As he passed through cities like Cairo, he gave away gold freely to the poor, to officials, to anyone in need. At first, people celebrated him. They praised his kindness, but soon, something strange began to happen. Gold started losing its value. Think about that. Gold, one of the most precious materials in the world, became less valuable because one man gave away too much of it. Prices rose. Economies shifted. And the effects lasted for over a decade. It was one of the earliest recorded examples of inflation, caused by a single individual. But that wasn't the only impact of his journey. Something else happened. something even more important. For the first time, much of the world truly noticed Africa. Maps began to change, stories spread across continents. European scholars wrote about him. In fact, on a famous map from 1375, Mansa Musa is shown sitting on a throne, holding a golden orb. That's how the world saw him, not just as a king, but as a symbol of unimaginable wealth. But here's the part most people don't talk about. Mansa Musa wasn't just rich. He was strategic, visionary. He understood something powerful. Wealth alone doesn't build a legacy. Knowledge does. After returning from his journey, Musa invested heavily in education and religion. He built mosques, libraries, schools. He brought scholars and architects from across the Islamic world. And he transformed cities like Timbuktu into intellectual hubs. Students traveled from far away just to study there. How much was he really worth? We try to measure it, we compare, we estimate, but the truth is, we can't. Because his wealth wasn't just money. It was land, resources, influence, power over trade routes that connected continents. Trying to calculate it in today's terms is almost impossible. And maybe that's what makes his story so fascinating. He exists beyond modern understanding. There's also another question. What happened after him? Because empires, no matter how powerful, don't last forever. After Mansa Musa's death, the Mali Empire slowly declined. Internal conflicts, external pressures, shifting trade routes. The same empire that once dominated West Africa began to fade, and with it, the legend of its greatest ruler, but not completely, because even today, his name still sparks curiosity, still raises questions, still challenges what we think we know about history. Here's a little-known fact. Despite his influence, many people around the world are never taught about him. Think about that, one of the richest, most powerful figures in human history, barely mentioned. Why? Maybe because his story doesn't fit the narratives we are used to. Maybe because it reminds us that greatness has existed in places often overlooked, and maybe that's the real legacy of Mansa Musa. Not just wealth, not just power, but perspective, because when you hear his story, something shifts. You start to question what you've been taught. You start to wonder how many other stories are hidden, waiting to be told. So the next time someone talks about the richest people in history, remember this: before modern banks, before billion-dollar companies, before global markets, there was a man who carried so much gold across a desert that he changed economies. A man whose wealth can't be measured. A man whose story still echoes through time, Mansa Musa.